Alright everybody, so this is your day one video. To this point, anything that you've done, you possibly may have been looking at the projects and activities link, which is also provided on your Google Classroom. But today you need to practice out this simple exercise. So you need to have a ruler. If you don't have a ruler, then you need to get a piece of paper, fold that piece of paper in half. It'll make a hard crease, and you can use that hard crease as a ruler. You could also use cardboard. You could use the edge of a book, sketchbook. Any of those would do as well. Alright, so we're going to draw a line cutting through the middle of the page. I'll zoom in a little bit so that you can see that better. Alright, so after you have that line cutting through the page, make a dot on it. The dot is going to represent our vanishing point. I will cover that information a little bit more in depth when we're doing cities, but to summarize, we're going to be making some boxes that are going to be above this horizon line and below it, and then cutting through it. And so it's showing if you were to draw a building or a shape from different perspectives. So the vanishing point is supposed to represent things going back in space, having the illusion of depth. So it'd be kind of like the side of a building. And then this line, I'm just going to toss in an HL, which represents horizon line. That is your eye level. So wherever you're looking, that's where you should be drawing that line. So let's start off with making just a straight up box. And I'm just going to freehand this. Let's just freehand it, throw one above, line this up, throw one below. Simple. Okay, now what you're going to end up doing is putting your pencil at the start on the vanishing point, lining up to all the corners of your square. Draw a line going back. Do that. It would only be for 3 points for this one. You got to pretend that this shape right here is, and I will throw in a little highlighter for it. This is a solid shape. Now, solid shape, you can't see through it, so you're not going to see all the sides. So for this one, since it is above the horizon line, you're going to see the side of it and the underneath. So, but you're not going to see this one because that would be the back half. So same with this one. It's pretty much a copycat. Line up your pencil to the vanishing point, draw to each corner. Corner time, corner, and corner. And once again, I like to make aware the space we're working with, and so I will just fill that in with a solid color. If you have crayons, colored pencils, that works just as well. You don't have to use a highlighter. And last but not least, let's make a shape that is cutting right through the horizon line. So this is at eye level, but it's a building that is above and below. Maybe it's like a shed or a house. Now, this horizon line, pretty much where the sky meets the ground, you're not going to see that part because that's the building itself, the shape itself. So you just need to erase that part of the horizon line and then fill that in with your color. I like using the same color for all the fronts so that you understand that these are the front planes for all of your buildings. This is just what I do for the practices. So put your pencil on the vanishing point, line up your ruler, go to the corners, draw straight back. Pencil on the vanishing point, copy and paste. Now the reason why I started with the one above and below is because those both have 3. You're going from 3 corners. The one that cuts through the horizon line is always the easiest because only the closest top and bottom corners will go back. So you're only seeing one plane, one side of that building or shape. You're not going to see anything above, anything below. You can't see the other side because we're doing 1 point perspective. So now figuring out, and this would get erased because that is inside our shape. So for all of these guys, we want to enclose them. We want to pretty much make the building have a stopping point. So line up your ruler to the edge that's right against your shape vertically, and then scooch it over parallel. We want it to look like an equal sign, so it's copying this line. Draw that. I'm going to use a different color now. So let's see if my green works. Perfect. So that one is done. So what I want you to look at this one is how this vertical line matches this vertical line. It is an equal sign. We're going to do an equal sign, same here, and then we'll worry about the underneath. So I'm lining up my ruler to the edge of these two buildings, and I'm sliding over parallel. And whenever I want to say my building is done, draw a line coming down and stop once you hit another line that went back to the vanishing point. So I'm just mirroring it, top and bottom, not dealing with these two spaces yet. After you've done those two, then fill that in with whatever color you chose to do. This exercise will help you big time for throughout the week. I noticed about 12 of you ended up streaming and watching perspective videos on cities in advance. That's awesome. You didn't have to do that, so you might have a little bit of a one-up going into this, having done that, but don't worry about it if you haven't already done that. You will need to take a picture of your boxes and post it to the Google Classroom when you're done. And that's the only thing you need to do for today once you have finished this out, which I'm almost done. So now we did our equal sign here. We did it here. So this is straight up and down, straight up and down, straight up and down, straight up and down. So now to be able to do these two spaces, it is going to be straight over, straight over. So with this being the horizon line, when things are close to the horizon line, these spaces tend to be shallower, not as big. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit for you. I like to turn my paper, line up my ruler to the edge, and then slowly slide it back. If you choose not to do that, your ruler, you'll tend to tip it a little bit, and we want to make sure that we're mirroring that line. And we're going to stop when we hit the end of our color that you chose, my green. So that space is the top for that. I'm going to line up to the edge right here for this shape, and then slide it back and stop once I hit the end of that green shape. So that is the underneath of this shape, and this is the roof of this shape. And then you fill those two in. Now, if you would like to practice and do some additional shapes after you've done these, feel free to do so. Otherwise, if you're saying you've got this and you're all done, then toss your name on your paper, which you can't even see mine because the lighting's bad. So just toss your name on there, and then P dot whatever your period is, and then submit it on the Google Classroom by just taking a picture and then posting it. But if you want to do additional, you can practice doing maybe another shape. It doesn't have to be just a square. Maybe you practice doing a trapezoid or a star, whatever you want. Just remember, after you make that shape, fill that shape in with the front solid color, and then line up the corners that would match to the vanishing point. Close it off like we did with these guys, and fill that in, that color for the perspective, showing depth with the corresponding color that you chose, like I chose green. Okay, so I'll just do it for this one since I started it as an example. Matching this side, going back. And this would be just an additional one if you wanted to do additional practices. But as soon as you feel comfortable and you're like, I'm good, then submit it, be done, name on it, and then put the period. There you have art. Alright, thanks for checking this out, guys.